According to Rockstar Universe, a source with a history of accurate insights, it's rumored by an internal source that Lucia has a child who appears in the game's storyline. This would be a first for GTA, and a step forward from having children in-game, but old enough, getting involved in things which they shouldn't. However, Lucia's child is believed to be much younger, and only appears in cutscenes, similar to how Jack Marston was in RDR 1 and 2. Now, this is fascinating for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the inclusion of Lucia's child in GTA 6's storyline cutscenes could add a unique emotional dimension to the game. It's not just about the high-octane action and the usual GTA shenanigans, because there's a hint of a more personal, relatable storyline here. But let's not forget about the precedent set by previous games. This isn't the first time a child character has been featured in a GTA game. Remember GTA Vice City Stories? For those who aren't familiar, that game is a chapter of the GTA series that serves as a prequel to GTA Vice City. It was indeed somewhat of a spin-off in the grand tapestry of GTA titles. Originally released for the PSP in 2006, and later for the PlayStation 2, it was a standalone title that expanded the lore of Vice City. Unlike mainline GTA games, it was never released for PC, making it a unique entry in the series with a slightly different reach and audience. It follows the story of Victor Vance, a former soldier who finds himself entangled in the city's criminal underworld. Now, the child we're talking about here is the newborn baby of Louise Cassidy Williams and Marty J. Williams, Mary Beth Williams. In the game, she is depicted as a very young child, often seen in her mother's arms. Her presence in the game is quite unique, as it's not common for the GTA series to feature children, especially newborns, in any significant role. Her mother, Louise, is a central character who gets involved with the protagonist, Victor Vance. Marty, her father, is the leader of a gang and is portrayed as an abusive husband. Mary Beth's character plays a role in highlighting the struggles of her mother. It brings to light themes of family, protection, and the impact of the criminal lifestyle on personal relationships. Let me know in the comments down below if you even remember about the appearance of such a character in the GTA Vice City stories. But she's not the only child in the GTA series. Another notable minor character is Jill von Krastenberg, who appears in GTA 4. Jill, by most sources, is only 12 years old during the events of the game. She represents a fascinating aspect of the series' depiction of minors, especially in the context of modern society's influences. She's a character that many interpret as a caricature of modern children, particularly those from wealthy and famous backgrounds, who are depicted as growing up too fast. Jill's character and her family are featured in various in-game media, like radio broadcasts and internet sites, where her precocious and adult-like lifestyle is described in a satirical manner. This includes attending high-profile parties, engaging in behaviors typical of adult celebrities, and being involved in scandals, all at her young age. Also, if we consider the Red Dead Redemption series, we've seen how a child character can be effectively integrated into a story. In RDR 2, Jack Marston is a key character who influences the narrative and the protagonist's decisions. So as you can see, there weren't many kids in the GTA universe. The series, known for its mature themes and content, has generally avoided featuring children, especially as pedestrian characters roaming the streets of the game map. This decision aligns with the nature of the game and the potential controversies that could arise from involving children in a game setting where violence and crime are prevalent. Interestingly, in the development of GTA 3, there were initial plans to include children as part of the game's pedestrian population. This is evident from the beta versions of the game, where kids were present but were ultimately removed in the final release. The reasons behind this decision are not officially documented, but it's widely speculated that it was due to the potential sensitivity and controversy surrounding that. Despite the absence of children as physical characters in the game, GTA 3 subtly acknowledges their presence in the game world through other means. For instance, you'll hear radio ads and see school buses, which imply the existence of children in the game's universe. Let's be real for a moment and consider a somewhat controversial topic in the world of gaming. Should GTA games include children in their stories and as NPCs walking on the streets? Personally, I lean towards the opinion that they shouldn't, and let me explain to you why. Think about what GTA games are all about. They're full of some pretty heavy stuff, right? Lots of action, some pretty rough scenes, and definitely not kid-friendly content. So, throwing kids into that mix could get really tricky. It's not just about making the game look real. It's about what's cool or okay to show. And let's face it, having kids around all that chaos, that could really rub people the wrong way. You know how it is with GTA. It's all about doing whatever you want in this huge, open world. If there were kids around, the game would have to put up some boundaries to keep things on the up and up. That could really change how we play and what we can do in the game. And isn't that freedom what makes GTA so much fun in the first place? Now, on the other hand, I get why some people might think adding kids could be a good move. It could make the game feel more like real life, with more stories to tell and more ways ways to get into the game. Kids could bring a whole new side to the story, showing how the crazy stuff going on in the game affects everyone, even the youngest folks in the city. But getting back to the topic of Lucia's child, there's this rumor floating around on Reddit that's kinda lining up with what Rockstar Universe reported. It's all about GTA 6's plot, but remember, we should take this stuff with a grain of salt. Here's what this Reddit user posted. First of all, this thread contains spoilers, so if you're not willing to receive any spoilers, I suggest you not continue reading this thread. I posted this thread originally on GTA 6 subreddit, but moderators insist on deleting it for some reason without reaching out to say why. I won't be able to give out my source of this information. I completely understand everyone who's skeptical, and I'm not just one more of those "a friend of a friend told me about this." Believe me or not, I have a reliable source that worked on the game. I'm not asking you to blindly believe what I say. All I ask you is to please have some patience and wait until the teaser trailer gets released, as it will likely confirm the information I will provide on this thread. Also, please take everything I say on this thread with a grain of salt. As the game is still under development, the information I'll provide here might have changed over time. I strongly suggest you set reminders to check this thread again in the future. I was surprised by my source when I was told that Lucia has a baby that she abandons at a delicatessen before heading out to a bank robbery and then getting arrested for doing such an act. It is not known if the baby was a boy or a girl, and obviously there will be no kids in the game. This only happens in a cutscene as a flashback of the past. I have no information about what happens to this baby after this point. After a few years, Lucia gets released on probation. She's picked up at the prison by Jason, who's planning a robbery with her, and they'll fall in love with each other after some time. The majority of the planning for the missions takes place at a nightclub called Vault. In the very first mission of the game, you control Jason, and you have to follow a plane that is about to land and carries a Russian drug dealer. Apparently, Jason meets this guy and starts to plan a mission to steal drugs. In this drug-stealing mission, they are chased by the police, and the drug ends up falling into the ocean. There is a following mission where they will have to dive to retrieve it. So, yeah, this is pretty wild, right? The story about Lucia abandoning her baby and getting arrested, that's some intense stuff. And then there's this whole thing with Jason and Lucia planning robberies after she gets out of prison, plus missions at a nightclub called Vault, and chasing after a Russian drug dealer. This sounds like classic GTA, but with some new twists. I hope that the upcoming trailer will reveal everything. We've got to wait and see if any of this pans out when more info comes out. While we're on the topic of young age people, in August this year, there were a lot of rumors floating online suggesting that buying GTA 6 will require facial recognition. This whole idea started when some folks began to believe that the Entertainment Software Rating Board, ESRB, might introduce new technology to scan a person's face to check if they're old enough to buy a game. And of course, this story really grabbed the attention of the GTA 6 fanbase, given that Grand Theft Auto is known for its mature ratings, and sometimes even adults-only ratings due to past controversies. I mean, think about it. Facial recognition technology to buy a video game? That's some futuristic stuff right there. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie, but we're talking about it in real life. The idea was that when you go to buy GTA 6, some kind of system would scan your face and decide if you're old enough to play it. It sounds wild, but with technology these days, who knows? But you know how it is with rumors. They can spread like wildfire, especially in the gaming community. This facial recognition thing had people split. Some were saying it's a great way to make sure kids don't get their hands on games that aren't meant for them. Others were worried about privacy and how this technology could be used or misused. Then it turned out that this facial recognition system isn't actually meant for checking the ages of people buying games. The whole thing got a bit twisted along the way, and misinformation spread like crazy. PC Gamer shed some light on this by reporting the ESRB has released a statement clarifying that this technology does not confirm the identity of users, nor is it intended to scan the faces of minors to determine whether they're old enough to purchase particular games. It only uses images to determine the subject's age in order to ensure compliance with COPPA privacy requirements. So what was really going on here? It turns out that the ESRB is using this new tech for something totally different. It's all about complying with the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, better known as COPPA. This act is a big deal because it means that companies who want to collect or share info from kids have to get permission from their parents first. It's all about keeping kids' private info safe and sound. So while everyone was getting worked up thinking facial recognition was going to be this big gatekeeper for buying games like GTA 6, it's actually more about making sure kids' privacy is protected online. So wrapping this up, while I kind of think GTA should stay away from including kids because of the kind of game it is and all the talk it might stir up, I can see the other side too. If they did it just right, it could really open up some new doors for the stories they tell and the points they make about our world. I'm curious to hear what you think about it, so make sure to let me know in the comments down below.